We're always learning and evolving. So don't keep yourself stuck in old assumptions because you really are never the same person. If you don't allow old assumptions to block you, you will see the huge opportunities that await you. Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, a podcast helping women in career and life transitions achieve clarity on their next steps so they can transform uncertainty into an energizing next chapter. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of It's My Time Now Coaching. If you're wondering what's next in your career or life, you are in the right place. Through solo and guest episodes, you'll gain practical tips, tools, and inspiration to help you uncover blocks, gain confidence, and be, do, and have what you want. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. Are you feeling like past failures and negative interpretations about your life are stopping you from achieving your goals in your career or your life? Many of us feel stuck during our career or life transitions because of these internal blocks, which really do cloud our vision or don't allow us to see possibilities in front of us. In today's mini episode, we dive into how our assumptions and interpretations can block us and how we can lessen these blocks in our lives. In this episode, you will understand what internal blocks like assumptions and interpretations really are and how they prevent you from moving forward. Learn practical exercises to reframe your assumptions and create a positive mindset shift. And 3, discover how to reinterpret events to reduce the stress and open up new opportunities for growth. So listen to this episode now to transform your assumptions and interpretations and start moving towards your career and life goals with renewed confidence. And don't forget to stay till the end to get your guide to releasing the negative energy blocks in your way. You can download the PDF guide now in the show notes and get started to reduce the blocks in your way so you can transition smoothly in your career and your life. Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. In today's mini episode, we will continue to explore the blocks that may be present in your way from achieving the goals you set out for yourself. If you may be going through a career or life transition right now, and are asking yourself, what's next? But you're feeling stuck and don't know where to begin. It usually is because of the internal blocks, which may be preventing you from seeing options in front of you with clarity. As a review, before we can face our obstacles with courage, we must really understand what those obstacles are. We call that these obstacles or energy blocks or things that stop the flow of positive energy. They are both outer blocks and inner blocks. Outer blocks are those which, even if we change our belief about the situation, it doesn't really change the actual outcome. So, for example, if you might be interested in applying for a particular job and that job requires a PhD, but you don't have it, that's an outer block. The path then becomes, do I really want this job? And if so, shall I get my PhD? As I reviewed in our last episode, inner blocks, on the other hand, are just that, blocks that we place on ourselves. Inner blocks can be characterized in 4 different ways. And we talked about this first of these 4 blocks last time, which are called our gremlins or our inner critics. And that is the inner voice that tells you in one way or the other that you're just not good enough. I think that we all have those and they come in different forms. And today I'm going to be talking about the second and third type of blocks And those are assumptions and interpretations. Assumptions are an expectation that because something has happened in the past, it will happen again. And interpretations are stories or opinions or judgments that we create about events, situations, or experiences and believe to be true. Next time, we will discuss the fourth type of blocks, which are limiting beliefs. And those are generalizations or stereotypes or ideas that you learned and accepted about yourself or about the world or about other people that limits you in some way. You can think of them as external beliefs that you have taken as truth. So we all have one or more of these energy blocks, and the point is to really identify at least some of them and realize that they are normal. It is the obstacles that hold us back from achieving our vision. And by acknowledging and what they are and facing them with confidence, we can begin to move forward to realizing our visions for ourselves. So last time I had discussed how you can quieten the inner critic or your gremlin in order to lessen its power. If you missed it, please go back to our last episode where I give you practical tips on how to depersonalize your gremlin from you in order to lessen its influence in your life. Today, let's turn to the next block, inner block, or assumptions. So again, an assumption is an expectation that just because something has happened in the past, it will happen again. Some of the examples of these assumptions could be I can't sugar because my last diet failed, or I can't start a new business because my last business failed. So I'm going to ask you right now, what kind of assumptions are you making about yourself in your life right now? Think about if you were wanting to start something new, for example, but are hesitating because maybe you've tried it in the past, and it didn't go according to plan. And so you think, I can't do that again. When these assumptions come up, it is about reframing our thoughts and asking yourself the following. Just because it happened in the past, what makes you think it will happen that way again? Remember, you are a different person now than you were back then. So why should the results be the same? An example of an assumption which may help to clarify this is something which occurred to my younger son actually a few years ago. You see, he was applying for medical school, and after the first round of interviews and applications, he did get a couple of interviews, but he didn't get accepted. Of course, he was disappointed, and he began to question, if I didn't get in this time, then why would I get in on my second attempt of getting into medical school? He did get quite discouraged and almost stopped the application process. But then he thought about it and decided to try again. After that first attempt, he worked, he studied, he actually moved cities, and he learned so much more about himself that he actually became quite a different person. He changed his perspective and his assumptions. So when he applied again, this time he did get in. If he had let that assumption block him, he would have never attempted to try again. And this is what I'm encouraging for you. Change your assumptions about yourself, and you'll see the great things that are open up for you. We're always learning and evolving. So don't keep yourself stuck in old assumptions because you really are never the same person. If you don't allow old assumptions to block you, you will see the huge opportunities that await you. So here's an exercise that you can do right now. Write down 3 assumptions based on your past experiences that you have right now. Again, an assumption is an expectation that because something has happened in the past, it will happen again. Next, ask yourself, how true are these assumptions for you? Just because it happened in the past, what makes you think it will happen that way again? Remember, you are a different person now than you were back then. So why would the results be the same? So you can stop the audio and video now and work on this exercise now, or you can come back to it later. But I'd love to hear what you came up with and how shifting your assumptions have helped you. So the next energy block I'd like to discuss is interpretations. So again, an interpretation is a story or an opinion or judgment that we create about our events or about situations or about people and believe them to be true. We create our world through our interpretations of reality. So I can share a recent example of how I interpreted a situation, which may help you put this into perspective. Recently, I had put together a business proposal for a partner that I'm working with, which took a considerable amount of time and energy on my part. I was very proud of my work, and after I sent it to her, I expected her to respond right away and positively. Instead, a week went by, and then two with no response. I sent her another message and still no response. Of course, I immediately interpreted this as negative, and I became extremely disappointed. I immediately interpreted this as being and believing that she didn't want to go ahead with the proposal. And this is when I stopped and asked myself, what is actually really happening? Rather than immediately turning or jumping to this conclusion, I changed my perspective and asked, what is another way to interpret the situation? When I thought that way, I realized maybe there's something preventing her from responding, and it has nothing to do with me at all. When I thought this way, my stress lessened, and in fact, it turned out she had a family emergency which had prevented her from responding to me in a timely manner. She apologized profusely when she did get back to me, and she said she loved my proposal. So, just by allowing myself the way to interpret the situation in a different way, a positive flow of energy was created, and now we are working together with great synergy. So, if we ask ourselves, what's another way to look at the situation, it helps us open up our mind to other and new possibilities and enhances a positive flow of energy. So, I'd like you to try this exercise now. Can you think of a recent event or situation which upset you? What was your interpretation of the event? And how do you know that your interpretation was true? Next, ask yourself, what's another way to look at this event? Through our everyday lives, we assume and interpret things that we create and that create blocks and stop the flow of positive energy. So, using some of these methods that I've discussed today, think about how you can reverse your thoughts about the assumptions and interpretations in your life. So, what positive things come out of shifting your thoughts? I'd love to hear more about what came up for you as you go through these exercises. Next time, we will go through the block of our own limiting beliefs, and I will go through methods to release, diminish the limiting beliefs in your life. If you want to dig deeper into how these blocks may be limiting you in your life right now, you can download my negative energy blocks guide in the show notes. It provides you with detailed information on what these blocks are and methods to reduce them in your life. You can also book a complimentary consultation with me. Just email me at kavita@itsmytimenowcoaching.com, and we can dive into what may be blocking you from moving forward in your career and your life today. I hope this was useful for you, and until next time, stay well and stay motivated.